Alright, what's up nerds? Doc Brass here with another tutorial, and today I figured we would do something a little different. Trying to keep this one shorter than 30 minutes. I know I like to do the deep dives and going from A to Z, but on a pattern that I would normally consider to be, a little complex, I figured I would start with the introductions of it and we'll build towards it. So this is going to be more of a part one of of the drum beat that we're going to be doing today. And I want to talk about syncopated hi-hats and playing hi-hats that are not exactly in just eighth note form or quarter note form. And we're going to be doing so by using our tambourine on pad 5, kick, snare, hi-hat, and if we want to, open hi-hat. Okay, but it's really going to be focusing on these four sounds. Okay, same sounds I've used in the kit in the Patreon. So if you have access to that pack, you can use the same sounds that I'm using to help you practice. And what we're going to be going over today is going to be playing the kick, tambo, and snare at the same time. Basic beat, quarter note is going to be on the tambourine. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then we're going to do 2 kicks and a snare. And they're all going to be on the beat of the tambourine. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a great way to build up muscle memory and finger strength in these two, like on your left hand, because obviously we're going to need to bring in the right hand for our hi-hat. Okay, and this is going to be obviously for some beginners who are not quite used to adding other sounds, tambourine, trash, shaker, things of that nature, along with their kick and snare. So this is going to be great for some of you elementary beginners looking to kind of add some more, even on a basic level. Okay, and so a great way to be able to show how this can be done is if you just play eighth note hats on top of it, it'll sound like this. All right, and that faster one right there for a second was actually the 16th notes. So that was a little bit of 8th and 16th notes, if you can tell by the speed of the hats. And again, that's playing everything on the beat and on note. But that's not the point of today's overall tutorial, right? What we're going to be focusing on is the tambourine with the kick and the snare. But for the beginners who want to focus only on beat stuff right now, you can practice that left hand, put in some 8th note hats and some 16th notes, and practice your muscle memory in that way. Okay, but moving forward, we're going to go over a technique. And since it's just been the holiday spirit, I actually had this song stuck in my head, and I realized it actually is a perfect pattern to kind of use for this tutorial. And what it is that like bing, bong, 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 bing, bong. That kind of pattern is going to be great to kind of follow along here. So the way this is going to work is the hats, in a syncopated rhythm, the hats are both on and slightly off the beat. Really what it is that we're counting the hats in 3, which will add to 6 by the end of the beat, and then we have 2/4, right? So it'll be 2, 3, 4, 6, right? So for example, 1, 2, 3, yeah. See? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And what I'm counting right there is the hi-hat, so pay attention to that. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now that whole time, this is keeping on 1, right? On like a 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? It feels like it's off because that's what syncopation does. Right? Now, the way to practice that, don't practice this with one hand. Okay, I'm showing so that I can have the microphone in my left hand and show you guys what I'm doing. That's why we're doing it that way. But we're going to do this with two hands. Okay, and the way this is going to work is this. You want to practice that bing, bong, 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 bing, bong. But we're going to do it with two hands. Okay, so watch. Okay. Now, as you do that, there's an important reason why I'm using my middle finger as well. Do not use your pointer finger. Okay. We will be using the pointer finger to play the kick and the snare. We will also be using our ring finger later on in more advanced sessions to add in more kicks on an easier level. So it actually is important to use your middle finger in this. Okay. So it'll be thumb on the hi-hat, middle finger on here, and you want to practice that bing bong bing bong bing bong bam bum 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 hum 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 hum, right? And you kind of get that going on. You practice that first before you start adding in the kick and the snare. Okay, you want to feel comfortable, because what you will be able to do is just put your pointer finger down, because as we mentioned earlier, the kick and the snare will fall on each tambo hit. We're doing 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So every one of these hits, except for that fourth one, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. They're all falling on top of the tambourine. Okay? It's not until we add the hi-hat that it then starts to give this appeal of more that's really going on. Okay? So I'm going to put down the microphone, and as you'll see, I'm going to start by doing just the tambourine and the hat, and then I'm going to add just one kick and one snare so that you can kind of see how easily these can be added in, and then I'm going to add both kicks, okay? Okay. And I'm going to go through at the end and do another full-on jam, as you know that I like to do. But that's what we're going to be. That's how it is. Okay, so feel free to go back there. Again, all of the hits of the kick and snare will be falling on a tambourine. This is to help with that muscle memory. It should be easier for you to think about maybe the hi-hats or think about just the tambo if you know that the kick and the snare are going to always be falling in place without having to put extra thought and effort into it. Okay, and that's what's important here. So what we can then do is we can then add an open hi-hat on, the one, which would be like the first note that we hit, right? And then that will add a little extra nuance to it. Any of the hi-hat hits, of course, you can do an open hi-hat to give it that extra flair. But the idea here is that as you want to start layering, you can start feeling like there's more to the beat, right? So I'm going to give you an example of the advanced version of what we will be getting to into part 2. And I'm going to start by the beginning again, layering into the full thing. And then I'm going to go through and just jam, and we're going to take it nice and slow, quick, slow, quick, okay? Okay, so as you can see, I started to add extra notes. I added a double tap, right? But I'm using the double tap in an extra with my middle finger, as you saw, and only a couple times am I filling in with the pointer. And then you can see I added the open hi-hat, and then you can see I added a ghost note snare, which actually falls in line with the hi-hat hits. So it's actually a lot easier to count than you might think. But with that said, that's like the full beat, and then we add the samples on top of that, right? So that's the full pattern. So that's why we're building here. So now I'm going to go back to the first foundation, which is tambourine, kick, snare, and hi-hat. And we're going to just focus on the bum 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 bum, and just focus on having 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? All right. And again, this is part 1. I want us to stop there. I want you to try and drink that in. Practice your left hand with your tambourine, right? Kick, snare. If you want, just as a quick little add-on at the end here, for those who might already be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and are still looking for a little extra, try taking your ring finger and using your middle finger as a tap. The reason why I use my middle finger is because it's easier for, at least for me, if I'm trying to get one pointer finger to do too much, like one finger to do too much, it actually makes it easier for another finger to accidentally twitch with it. So for example, if I wanted to do, I really have to make sure that my middle finger is up high so that I'm not hitting it as well. But you'll find that when doing some of these patterns, especially when you're trying to keep it loose, if you're doing right, you might end up doing when what you want is, right? So because of trying to keep it as an easy measuring method, I do. It actually keeps these two fingers on one note, because that means that these are always hitting on 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So I like to alternate. So that's a little extra for you. But this is that's the tutorial here. I want us to focus on practicing your syncopated hi-hats with some quarter notes. You should be counting 3, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, ba 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 ba, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? And then you can layer in little by little. Feel free to add in open hi-hats. Feel free to add in extra little kicks or extra snares if you're feeling particularly spicy. Obviously, experiment beyond here if you're already kind of getting those patterns down. Now, part 2 is going to be where we're going to add in the double tap and effectively add in the triplet where we are doing a couple things. We're adding in a double tap with our middle and then crossing over our pointer here in time with the hi-hat so that everything remains in time. And then we're doing the same thing with hitting the ghost note here. So we're adding several other variables into the drum equation when we get to a more complex measure. So we're going to keep it there. Much love. Appreciate your support. I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday and New Year. 2022 is going to be dope. If you saw in the update, we got a bunch of dope stuff that's coming out soon. I'm looking forward to sharing with you guys. And thank you to the support here on Patreon for, again, keeping the Superhero Sanctuary mission going on, and I look forward to sharing you guys more updates. All right. Stay nerdy.